So welcome everyone on Monday, March the 29th to our Monday meetup, and welcome to Victoria Galetta, who's going to be speaking with us this evening about all things aquatic therapy. And this was requested by Emma. So Emma, I'm glad you could make it. Thank you. That's great. And Subhan, we're so glad that you were able to join us. You are just about to enter the heat of exams, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a busy time, but I had to make time for this.
Oh, great. Excellent. Excellent. Victoria, I'll let you take it away to introduce yourself, and we'll just have a casual chat.
Okay, well, I do have a presentation if you want me to do that, but we can have a casual chat as well. I don't know if it's echoey. We're renovating my office right now, so there's nothing in here, and it's just very, very echoey to me. I don't know if you guys can hear it at all, but
sounds great.
Okay. So thank you, Angela. My name is Victoria Galetta. I am a registered kinesiologist with a clinical focus in aquatherapy, and I'm based out of Collingwood, Ontario. And I started my aquatherapy business in 2019, and yeah, I haven't looked back. I've been enjoying it, and it's been really, really fun. So I can give a bit of a background. So I have a human kinetics degree from the University of Guelph. I worked in an office job for a little bit, knew that I didn't want to be sitting all day. So went back to school, did a postgrad at Humber College, and knew that I wanted to be in Collingwood. So found a job originally in a clinic as a physiotherapy assistant, as most, I feel like, kins. But there was a promise that I would be more introduced into a kin role, and that never happened. So was doing a bit of aquatherapy there, and the clinic owner didn't really like how I was leaving for a certain amount of time and then coming back and forth. So she decided to cut the aquatherapy program, and I just thought it was too important to stop it. There was nobody in the area doing it. So decided to go out on my own, which was scary, but really fun.
So you mentioned that the clinic owner, hey, Christiane, the clinic owner didn't really like you coming and going from the clinic to go to work with your clients, you mean? Yeah. To go to the pool and come back to the office?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Even though that was what was necessary to do the session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Hey, Elise.
So yeah, the clinic owner wanted me to do a lot more than just kin. It was everything, like social media, PTA, kin, all of the stuff. So yeah, I decided to leave. But while I was there, I did take some aquatherapy courses with the Canadian Aquatic rehab instructors. I always thought it was institute, but I looked it up and it's actually instructors. So they actually have a free course on Embodia right now, introduction to aquatherapy. So might be something to check out. Yeah. And then I've done their in-pool sessions. So they have an aquatherapy in neurology and aquatherapy for gait balance and pain management. There's 3 more courses I want to take with them, one in pediatrics, one in pre-postnatal clients, and one in orthopedics.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they had developed all those specialties.
Yeah. I think, like probably a year before like 6 months before COVID hit, they had all of these offered. So haven't obviously been able to. They also just started a conference in October of 2019, I think was their first year. And so that I think was in Cambridge, and they had 2 days of aquatherapy in and out of pools and in class type stuff. So yeah, some other resources that I would recommend is HydroWorks. They are a hydrotherapy like pool company, but on their website have really good webinars. I just listened to one, I think 2 weeks ago, and they have really cool case studies on their website. So they'll follow a patient and take you through their exercises, where they started, where they're at, and just like their progression. So really good resource that I use a lot just to kind of, if I feel like I'm in a rut with the same exercises, I'll look into it. And yeah, that's been helpful.
We'll post those links to the sites. I think that would be helpful for people to have as resources. So I'll put those in after we chat today.
Yeah, for sure. I can send them to you as well.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. A few
People
people
join.
lasting in after work. One of the things I was going to ask the group is perhaps 7:30 might work better, because I find people are really jammed right up against their workday at 7 o'clock. We can talk about that later. Hey, Katie.
And does anybody have any like questions? I think Emma asked some questions on Facebook that I can address as well.
I was just going to ask, do you have a background in aquatics, like an aquatic instructor or a lifeguard or anything like that?
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
But I always loved being in the water, but never did lifeguarding. Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that they have to have this kind of aquatic history before they go into the therapy side. And I didn't think you did, but I thought, I'm going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And so when I was, there was a case manager from Veterans Affairs that reached out to me when I was still working at the clinic in Collingwood. And she's like, oh, a client of yours, like of the clinic, is one of my clients, and he said that there's a kinesiologist that works there. She just started at the pool, so I decided to reach out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Nice.
She's like, I have some other clients. Would you want to see them in the pool? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, what do I need? And she's like, you just need to be a registered kinesiologist. And I'm like, okay.
Veterans Affairs is a really, really great group. I've worked with them with a couple of clients. Very easygoing, lovely to work with in terms of their case management. You're paid on time. No arguments about funding for your sessions. So if you'd like referrals, look them up and introduce yourself and say, here's your niche and here's where you live, and have fun.
Yeah. And they cover everything. So you get to do the assessment, you get to do the treatment plan. And yeah, they're really good. So they're, now that I'm back in the pool and I have to rent pool times now, which before I used to be able to just go into open swims and lane swims and just pay the $3 entrance fee. But now it's about $25 for 45 minutes. So Veterans Affairs actually covers that for the client, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. So you don't have to raise your rate, or you see, that's a really good thing, because you can state on your invoice pool rental so that it's clear that it's not connected to your treatment, which I think is really wise. So it would be, pool rental, this much money, and then your treatment session is this much. So, well, that's great.
Yeah. And then locally, so when I first started, I did a demo in the pool. This was in 2019. So we were able to do that kind of stuff. But I invited some healthcare practitioners in the area. I think I had 9 show up, and just demoed for 45 minutes, like what I would do in a session. And nice. I think I had like 2 or 3 referrals the next day from physios, and then was able to meet another case manager recently through another physio who referred a client to me. And so I had to reach out to their case manager, and it's funny because I started with a niche in aquatherapy, but it's almost like another niche, and then I'm working with veterans, like a lot of veterans. So yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. And it's very interesting because a lot of the veterans have a lot of, they have multiple injuries and just a lot going on. So it's really good for them to get into the pool.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how old are your clients roughly?
I would say like veterans, or just all in general.
Sorry, veterans, I was going to say.
They're about 50 plus. Oh no, I have one that's 40, 41. Yeah. So yeah, around that 40, 50. Yeah, I would say. But I have worked with kids, a couple of kids, and then up until I think my oldest client is like 85, 86. So yeah,
Nice range.
good range of people. And that's one of the nice things about the pool, is that someone who's older can feel comfortable in the pool, safe environment, safe spot to work on balance and all of those tricky exercises that are tricky on land. So yeah.
Nice.
This brings me to another point that I wanted to talk about, just the properties of water. So the buoyancy force. So that would be the upward force. So think when you're a kid trying to push a beach ball all the way down to the bottom of the pool, how it would shoot straight back up. So that's the buoyancy working on the ball. So that helps offload joints. So if somebody is standing in about waist deep water, they're about 50% weight bearing. At collarbone, they're about 10% weight bearing. So yeah, I had a client who was supposed to be 15% weight bearing on his leg, and he got so excited. I did not recommend this, but he was like hopping around on his one leg. And I'm like, no, like, don't do that. He's like, but it feels so good. And then the hydrostatic pressure. So the buoyancy is the upward force. The hydrostatic pressure is the inward force. And I love this little fact. So it's a graduated pressure. So at the bottom of the pool, it's higher than at water level. So it's 22 millimeters of mercury per foot. So if you're standing in 4 feet of water, that's 88 millimeters of mercury working on your legs. So thinking of like a compression soccer sleeve, that's typically 15 to 20. You can find ones that are higher, but like it's just amazing with how it can help swelling. And an example is I had knee surgery, and I was in the water one day. We were doing deep water running as a clinic, and I came out and I was like, wow, my knee feels amazing. Like, it hasn't felt this good in forever. And it was just that hydrostatic pressure,
Wow. So you don't only have you don't even have your clients enjoying the freedom of the water, but then all of these physical properties of water help them with their own movement ability. And then you've got the after effects of, it may take a day, it may take a little longer for inflammation levels to return to where they were. So you noticing that with consistent treatment sessions, there's a huge amount of progress that can be demonstrated from being in the pool. So that's great.
Yeah.
Really good.
So I'll address Emma's question. She asked about salt water versus chlorinated water. So I work in mainly two different pools. The Collingwood Centennial Public Pool, it's chlorinated, but they have a specific aquatherapy pool. So it's 90, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice. And then I work at another pool just in Thornbury, so close by. It is a saltwater pool. Temperature is 88 in the winter, 84, 85 in the summer. So in a saltwater pool, it is salt being broken down by electrolysis, and it produces chlorine. So it is still technically chlorine. It's just enough chlorine in the pool to keep it disinfected, but it's nicer on the skin. It doesn't dry out the skin as much. It doesn't ruin your bathing suits as much. But the chlorinated pool here in Collingwood, I come home and I smell like chlorine. And actually, so I told my naturopath this, and I was like, is this good for the skin? Like, obviously not. Like, I come home and I'm just smelling like chlorine and I can't get rid of it. Even if I saw clients all week and took a shower Saturday, Sunday, going into Monday, I'd still smell like chlorine. So he recommended there's actually, it's supposed to be pre-lotion that you put on. It neutralizes chlorine, but I was talking to the manager of the pool. It's like, can I put this on? I don't know if it's going to mess up your levels of chlorine in the pool? She's like, no, probably not. So I just put it on afterward. So I'll put it on right before bed basically. And by the morning, I don't smell like chlorine anymore. So it's kind of a cool little tidbit.
Oh,
Yeah.
neat.
I didn't know about it until probably like 6 months into working in the pool constantly.
Neat. Suban has a question here for you as well.
So I was wondering, when you're working with clients, are you working one-on-one mostly, or are you working in group sessions? And also, do you have any like water fit certifications or anything to correspond to your therapeutic sessions? So like Kala or water art or anything like that?
I actually met with a Kala instructor and was gonna like take some courses, but then of course COVID happened, so I haven't, but it is on my radar to do. I typically work one-on-one. I do offer like semi-private, so if people have similar injuries, I'll group them together and we can do exercises together. But the pool limits me to, I think there's only 3 or 4 people allowed in the therapy pool at one time. So it's tough. Like I wear my mask and my face shield, but the client is not wearing a mask, just because once the mask becomes wet, it's not, it doesn't do anything. So they allow people to be in the pool. We have to kind of be in our separate areas. So it's tough now. But if they were within the same bubble, I could work with them. Yeah, but I do better one-on-one. I'm not typically like a group exercise person. We had to do in my post-grad, we had to do a group exercise and lead it, and I was just like not good at it.
Oh.
What was your post-grad in?
Sorry?
What was your post-grad in?
It was in exercise science and lifestyle management at Humber. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure the person who found Kala went to Guelph for human kinetics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her name's Charlene.
Charlene Kopansky.
That's her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I met with Catherine, who lived in Thornbury, and she was like an instructor with them, and yeah.
She comes to Hamilton and teach as well. I've taken a course with Charlene, actually. She taught deep water vertical training, I think it was called. So again, being submerged, like just your head out, and you have a weight belt on, and you're doing water fit. That's what we call it in Hamilton.
Yeah.
So super cool classes, super valuable.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Yeah, I think Kari, so the Canadian Aquatic Rehab instructors, I think they had a deep water, I couldn't find it though. I was looking back at their old events on Facebook, but I think she was going to do like a deep water exercise type thing. So yeah, the therapy pool in Collingwood only goes, I think it's 4 feet 3 inches. So it's not, you can't float in that, but at Lemonade Collective in Thornbury, they have, it's like, it used to be an outdoor pool that they converted to an indoor pool. So it's slanted and it has a deep end. So sometimes when I'm working with more vigorous, more vigorous cardio clients, then I'll take them into the deep end and I'll just get them to do more like deep water running and just that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just kind of look up stuff if I need some ideas as well. Yeah.
I just want to swim at a place that's called Lemonade Collective.
I know. It's so nice. You should look it up. They did such a great job renovating, but they were only open for, I think, 3 months and then they had to close because of COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
now they're open. We're in Simcoe. I'm in Simcoe, Muskoka. So we're in red zone, but Grey Bruce is right next to us and it includes Blue Mountain, Thornbury. They're in green.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Huge difference. Yeah. Any other questions? I can continue. I have my little presentation on the side so I can keep talking about things, but
go for your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. You can share the screen and.
Oh, no. It's okay. I can just, just talk.
All right.
So I talked about the hydrostatic pressure. It helps with the lymphatic return and the venous return. So when you have to keep in mind when that happens, there's going to be an increased stroke volume to the heart. So when you're doing cardio, you have to remember to keep your target heart rate 10 to 12 beats below what it would normally be on land, just so that cardiac output isn't too high when you're in the water with people. Some other benefits to the pulmonary system. When you exhale, the water, that hydrostatic pressure helps you exhale. So you exhale more air so that, the functional reserve capacity is decreased. So less air in the lungs as you exhale, but the opposite's true. So when you inhale, you have to work 60% harder to inhale, depending on where you are in the water.
That is really good. That is really good.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Very interesting, especially for people with cardiorespiratory issues, because you could start them below the level of the diaphragm and you can then bring them up so that the challenge changes as the hydrostatic pressure changes and their body, the load of their body becomes less, the buoyancy increases, but the hydrostatic pressure also increases. So what a great way of training abdominals. That's fantastic.
Even increasing like awareness of like breathing, just like look at the difference between shallow water and a little bit deeper.
Right. Yeah. Very cool for breathing training. I'm thinking in the back of my mind. I was going to ask you, Victoria, for heart rate, do you have any sort of check that you're doing with clients? Are they wearing a device, or are you just checking pre-post, or how does that look?
Yeah, so the clients that I will work at a more vigorous level with, I'll get them to check their heart rate. But the majority of my clients are not getting to their target heart rate until we kind of progress to that point. But in the beginning, they're not going to reach it.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I'll talk about equipment. So if you're thinking about getting started in aquatherapy, what I would recommend is what you would need is a couple pool noodles, different sizes, different densities, so that when you're doing an exercise in the water, if somebody's having trouble, you can go to a smaller noodle. It'll be less buoyant. Or if you want to make it harder, just get a thicker, more denser noodle. And I also recommend getting what's called a neck doodle. It sounds really funny, but it goes around your neck. It looks like a flutter board, but it just has a spot to put your neck. And then if you're doing anything in floating, so I'll do some traction, I'll do some stretching while they're in this floating position, supported with noodles and this neck doodle. So those are the two pieces of equipment I would say you would absolutely need.
I just realized, wait, I have this under my bed here in my office. Let me show you. Go ahead, sorry.
That's okay. So I will get people to float right away, basically first session. I've noticed over time that people just have a hard time relaxing. So I'll do some deep breathing with them, and I'll do a quick like body scan with them, just with their eyes closed. They relax like instantly, and it takes like 2 to 3 minutes. And then I can traction them, and they aren't as tense, and they can feel the actual benefit of the traction. I've had people like almost fall asleep because they're so relaxed. And this works really well with veterans because they're always like anxious and they don't have time to relax. They're always thinking about everything going on. So one of my very anxious clients, he will sometimes fall asleep. He will wake up and he'll be like like snoring and like it's funny.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And then so I recently just bought oh sorry, did you have a question?
I had a question. What do you mean by traction? Like what do you actually do with the person?
Okay, good question. Maybe I'll share my screen now. because I have some pictures of it. Am I able to share my screen?
Yeah, I think so. You should be all right.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this client is supported by a noodle and the neck doodle. Sometimes I have two. I've been using mostly two noodles, but just for the photo shoot, it was better with one. So I will pull them one way by their feet. So it's like a long leg traction opening up in the hip and knee joint. And some people feel it in the low back when I do that. And then I will kind of let them pass me, because if I move, I create a bit of turbulence and I'll start to turn them. So I let them pass me, and then I'll reach and grab their underneath their shoulder blades and pull them the other way. So it'll kind of open up between the vertebrae in the water, and it's just the water doing it. The faster I go, the more drag they'll have, and the more kind of opening up in the joints.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's really nice. I do it like on a daily basis. I'm like, I wish someone did this for me. So yeah, you can see it in these two pictures. I should get more videos, but yeah, that'll be a post-COVID project. So recently I bought these tools. It's a company called Aqualogic. They're based out of the States, but if you're familiar with MMA fighter George St. Pierre, he did some work with Stuart McGill at Waterloo, but he hurt his back. I can't remember what exactly happened. I don't know if he broke it or what happened. Anyways, he rehabbed in the water and used these fins. Oh, I should have grabbed one. Hold on. No, it's something different. No. Do you want to show that stuff? I'll be right back. I'll grab my fins.
Sure. So these are one type of fin, and they're completely adjustable. So the easiest would be if you actually open the fan this way. And so you can have one in each hand and then push pull along the surface of the water vertically, horizontally. You can go at any height. So you can go out to the side with your arms abducted, closer to your body. So that gives you one option, and then you can easily just tailor that quite specifically. It goes partially and then eventually fully closed. And then I have dumbbells, sort of, that you can easily do push-pull across the top of the water, pushing up and down. I don't have my flutter board here, which I use. And then the other thing I used was the float belts. And I just have pool shoes, because a lot of the bottoms of the pools that I was working in backyards were pretty rough. So my feet would get really rough by the end of working in pools all day. So I just got a pair of these that are really quick dry shoes. So they were like $60 at Winners. And I've had them for, I don't know. I probably had these for 7 or 8 years, using them in the water pretty regularly. And so they don't look chewed up by chlorine or anything like that. So that's all I had in my little bag.
Cool. So I just got these. They come in different, how can I show these? Okay, so they're fins. They can go around the wrist. These are the biggest ones. So this is the most resistant. But there's green, which are a little bit smaller, and black, which are kind of medium sized. But you can put them around the wrist, you can put them around the ankles, and just different movements. You can increase resistance in the water. So when I first started, I bought just the fins and loved them. The clients loved them. So I decided recently to just upgrade and get the whole package. So the package also comes with these. They're called bells.
Whoa.
They're kind of cool. So again, this is the biggest one. So there's ones that are a bit smaller. So there's a handle inside. You can hold on to it. What I like about these is that, I think, Angela, you were showing the water weights. I found people like have to push down the water weights, and the buoyancy is like pushing them up. So their neck is just always engaged. So I like these because they just sit in the water and you're not constantly having to push them down. But they have fins on, so it'll increase resistance, and then but the water can go through. So it's kind of cool to do some upper extremity exercises with these. Yeah, so that's the equipment I typically use. I have flippers that I bought them, but I haven't used them yet. But they can help with just ankle movement and like, just make walking harder in the water. But these actually like really help. So I haven't had to use the flippers.
That's fun.
With the flippers, I've heard people, they have problems with their tendons and ligaments getting stretched and sometimes causing plantar fasciitis at the bottom.
No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a lifeguard, by the way, for context, and I have a lot of like people who come swimming for years and they use flippers, and they've been directed actually not to use the flippers because if you think about it, the foot's plantar flexed and it kind of stays in that position while you're kicking, and you're kicking with a lot of force, and that pressure is going to cause a little bit of lengthening and pull and tension on all the structures in the area. So just something to think about as well.
That was the only way I could lap people in the pool. Give me my fins and my flippers and get out of my way, because I'm coming for you. That's what I loved.
Us instructors are even now told not to teach with flippers. So when I took swimming lessons, like using flippers was so fun because you go so fast with them, and like it's really a good tool to use for kicking. For the past 3 years, haven't touched them. We actually got rid of them from our facilities. So different.
That's really interesting, because I loved how it would teach the hip mechanics of kicking. Now we didn't really get the kids kicking really hard, but they just looked wonderful. They had these beautiful kicks, and then you would take the flippers off and you go, now you can flutter kick. There we go.
Yeah, so it's a great progression in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then I think I think people started using it a little too much. Kids started relying on it, and that's where the issue came in. Sure. And then talking to some of the older patrons that would come in, a lot of them had some issues with the flippers, and they've been told by physiotherapists and whatnot not to wear the flippers, but they still do.
The other piece of equipment I loved is the pool noodles, just as an introduction, just across the surface of the water and making circles forward, making circles backward. Rotation was great. So I use those a lot, especially for people who are pretty timid in the water, a life jacket and just using the pool noodle just for something to focus on, to give them a little bit of stability in the big pool area was sometimes a bit intimidating for them.
Yeah.
We would sometimes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we would sometimes cut up the pool noodles. So you know how you were saying the dumbbells, they make you more buoyant. The pool noodles were a little bit lighter, so cutting them up helped with that.
So the Centennial pool they have like little ones, like that big, and then they had ones cut that big, and then they had different progressions of resistance.
Clever. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Super cheap way of building your toolkit.
Yeah. One of my favorite exercises with a pool noodle is like a single leg press. So if you put the noodle under the one foot, pressing down, and then really slowly coming up and resisting that buoyancy. Great exercise.
Yeah, that was great.
The noodle is also used for a lot of abdominal exercises, because they can lay back in it and hold on to it, and then do like crunches by bringing their knee to their chest.
Yeah, even just sitting on the noodle and bringing your feet off the ground. Our body loves symmetry, so I always have to be careful telling clients this, because they just go right for the exercise. I'm like, okay, wait. So I'm like, okay, bring one arm out. And so our body loves symmetry, so we've broken that symmetry, and so you tend to start going this way. And so you really have to use your abdominals to keep yourself upright. It's really, really cool. I do the same in a floating position. So they'll have the neck doodle on. I'll be holding their legs, and I'll do the same thing. So they can really feel, when they're laying flat, they can really feel their hips move to the one side when they take one arm out.
I just want to say neck doodle.
Neck doodle.
But isn't that neat? Because you can see how there's this whole other exploration of movement that, you know, landlubbers, we're not going to have that experience. And even if you're used to being in a lake, unless you actually bring the tools with you to play, you wouldn't be exposed to these kind of challenges to balance and stability. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my veteran clients, I've probably started working with him last February, and he called, I think I missed his call, so I called him back, and he's like, yeah, my case manager wants me to do pool therapy. I'm not really convinced. And I'm like, well, okay, she gives me 5 sessions. So we have to do the initial assessment and then give me like 1 or 2 in the pool and let's just see what you think. And he's like, okay, fine. So first time in the pool, he's like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I love this. And I'm like, see, like you just need to give it a chance. And now this past summer put in a pool in his backyard. He's just like so excited. Whoa. Yeah.
Nice sales job, Victoria.
I know.
How's that for a testimonial? My client bought a pool.
Yeah. He loved it so much he put a pool in. But yeah, like a lot of people, they'll call me and be like, oh, my physio told me to do this. And I'm like, it's going to be great. Like, just trust me.
So when you first work with your clients in a session, what positions do you put them in? If they're pretty leery, they're not too excited about being in the water, how do you start them off?
So at the Centennial Pool, there's 2 different levels. So there's, I think I said waist deep and like collarbone, and I'll just get them to walk. I'll get them to compare both shallow and deep. And yeah, I just start them slow, like, and even in like floating or cycling, I'll put the noodle on their upper back and I'll hold on to it so that they know that I'm there. And then I also tell them, like, your head really controls where you go. So if you tilt your head back, your hips will automatically come up. And then if you tilt your head forward, your legs will kind of fall to the ground. So just taking them through that and just talking them through it, and then just being there, like close, helps them a lot too. Yeah, I have a lady, she has a kind of fear of the water. So I would love to like get her floating and in traction, but it's tricky to get her in that position. Once she's there, she loves it and she feels great afterward, but it's like, yeah, getting her there. She's the older, she's like 84, 85 and had really bad experiences in the water, but knows the benefit of it, loves going. She'll go on her own. Now she was in the pool this morning with me while I was working with another client. Just because she couldn't get a pool time. So yeah, had an eye on her. Yeah.
So do you go to public pools to do your therapies and they're okay with that?
Yep. So I knew this is the benefit of being in a small town. I knew the manager of the pool. She was a client at the clinic that I was working at. So I reached out to her. We had coffee. I was like, is this something that I can do? I know of there's another kin in Innisfil, Desiree. She does aquatherapy and she uses the Y. So they allow her, you just have to kind of prove your insurance. And yeah, so I reached out to Michelle and she was like, yeah, for sure, come on in. And so I made sure that it was okay. But yeah, public pools mostly. The YMCA, like I have permission to work out of there, but their pool is just too cold for me and my clients. Yeah,
that was one of the things I was wondering about. Do you wear like a warm-up vest, or Mountain Equipment Co-op has really nice thin wetsuits that you can wear that are reasonably priced, but they just give you that little bit more comfort if you're in, 84 degree.
Yeah. So at
water.
At LC, I'll wear a rash guard. Yeah. And then I get in trouble for this, but I turn the ventilation fan off because it's like pulls all the warm air out. So I turn it off in the last like 10 to 15 minutes of our session so that I can get the client to relax and not get cold. I've tried to have it off the whole session, but I'm not allowed to.
I remember when we were lifeguarding and the pool had to be cooled down for like a weekend event. And you're like, oh no, because you knew that you had to teach kids for half a day in the water. And the kids, we never told the kids that the temperature was backing off, but we knew bright and early Saturday morning, ooh, okay, I can start to feel that. And then by the end of your shift, it had gone down by a degree and a half, and then you'd lifeguard in the afternoon. And what we used to do was, in between our teaching and our lifeguarding, we used to just play and we would race each other. And oh my gosh, we're like, nope, let's do it. Come on. We always do this. And you're like, it's got to be like 80.5 degrees in here. Yeah. So it's one thing when it's a lake at a cottage. It's another thing when you have to be in there for 5 hours on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I miss those times. So that's good to know that you've got certain standards in terms of water temperature and then also gear to keep you comfortable.
Yeah. I learned very quickly.
Yeah. Cold.
Yeah. The therapy pool in Collingwood is great. They have it's just like a warm hug. Like when I walk in, I'm like, oh, I'm home.
Really nice.
But they have a ramp going in. They also provide like a water wheelchair. So I've had to bring clients in with the water wheelchair as well. So they call it the warm therapy pool, and they offer like aquafit classes and they say aqua therapy classes. But yeah, they have other, I think I'm the only practitioner, maybe one other practitioner that will come in. But yeah, it's perfect.
That was my question. Like, why don't municipalities offer like rehab classes, or they offer water fit, but people who attend water fit classes, they're all at different levels in terms of what kind of condition they have. For example, someone might have shoulder pain or someone might have hip pain, but they're going to a general program.
Yeah.
So is that like, does that not work operationally, or like, is there like a feasibility to it?
Yeah, I have no idea. If somebody approaches the lifeguard with a specific injury or question or something, they will direct them to me. So nice. I do like I will get clients that way as well.
Like waterproof business cards.
I have you know what? I have a waterproof notepad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'll like be walking around in the water with it, and people are like, "Do you need a plastic bag for that?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." Yeah, I should get waterproof business cards, but there's also waterproof printer paper, and but I need to invest in you need a laser printer. I have like an inkjet printer, so I can't print on it, but I will eventually have waterproof exercise sheets for people.
I was just seeing if I could grab them, but I don't have them right here. We used to stuff our exercise pages just in sheet protectors and give them to clients. And I used to tape the ends and say, nice. Not waterproof.
Yeah.
You can bring it and put it on the side of the pool. So waterproof printer paper. Holy smoke.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Any other questions? Emma, do you have any other questions? Did I answer your question?
You answered like the other one was about the temperature in the pool. Yeah. So I know there was like certain conditions that you need to have a certain temperature.
Yeah.
Or I've read that. I don't know if
so the only condition that needs to be in like a cooler temperature is MS. They have intolerance to heat, so they have to be in a cooler pool. But I guess I've never worked with anyone who's pregnant, but they shouldn't be in a warmer pool. But I don't know what the temperature cutoff. I know they're not supposed to be in a hot tub, so I don't know if 90 degrees is okay for them or not. That I would have to look into. But I think MS is the only one that needs to be in a cooler pool that I know of. But I've never actually worked with anyone that has MS. I typically work with mostly arthritis, pre or post-op, post motor vehicle accident, and I have a traumatic brain injury client right now, and spinal cord injuries, and post-stroke. Yeah.
And were there any like contraindications to being in the pool, like other than like phobia of water? But
so I've actually had a couple of people who have reached out to me that have an allergy to chlorine. So I'm like, oh, it's chlorine. Like I can't do anything about it. Cause there's also bromine. I don't think I've ever been in a bromine pool, but they'll be like, oh, it's okay. Like I'll give one session a try. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't know. Yeah, there's some other contraindications, before you get into a pool. This was one of my slides, so I can, so acute vomiting or diarrhea, allergy to chlorine, angina at rest, shortness of breath at rest, uncontrolled heart failure, open wound. There's something called tegaderm that you can put over an open wound, depending on how big the wound is, obviously. Uncontrolled seizures are all kind of contraindications that I look for before getting somebody in the pool. I think Angela had a question, or she like in the post description talked about referrals, and I kind of touched on that. So I did the demo, and then I've done lunch and learns in the area when we could, for doctors and physio clinics. And I've actually gotten some referrals from social media, like connecting just with practitioners in the area. Probably about a year ago, I was going for a walk and I saw a physio's sign and I was like, oh, I've never heard of this physio. So I looked him up on Instagram, just started following him. He sent me a message and was like, I love what you do. Like, let's connect. So we had a Zoom meeting, and now I think we share 2 clients right now. I've worked with his wife. She specializes in neuro rehab. So we've shared clients. I've helped them with stuff. So yeah, that actually works. Social media does work. Some other ways I've gotten referrals are, I'm part of this entrepreneurial group in Collingwood. It's online, so anyone can actually join now. It's called Common Grounds. It used to be called Open Coffee. And it's just, I've met people through that. There was a journalist who was at one of the meetings and was like, that, like, whatever you do sounds really cool. Let me write an article about you. And so it was in a local newspaper. And then I had like double my business in like a week. So that was really helpful. And then just get it, like meeting people in the area, and someone will refer somebody to me from that. A naturopath in the area tried to start like a case study. I know somebody in our connected kinesiologists group was trying to get a case study group started where you kind of bring like, so the one that I was a part of, you bring a client that you're maybe having difficulty with, and you kind of give a description of everything, and then you kind of talk about it and get everybody's opinion on it. So getting practitioners together and just talking things out, I found very helpful in meeting people.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Elise and I had that idea on the weekend. We were in a course together and we decided we would start a case study group called Movement Lab. And we are going to start to test it. So we will keep everybody up to speed. If you've taken a first line course before, that's where we're going to start, is with any of the people that have taken a first line course. We're going to do some test drives. And then we were thinking about the idea of possibly maybe looking at bringing it to our Monday meetups. So we might do like a case study night once a month. So nice. It could be bring a client, or it could be, I can't figure out my own shoulder or something like that. And we take the hour and do an assessment together. So that's what we had brainstormed while we were sitting and watching an 83-year-old master just assess person after person all weekend. Wait a minute, we need to do this. So this has been great. Thank you very, very much. Does anyone have any further questions? I have another question. What are you most comfortable wearing in the pool?
So I will wear like a full bathing suit. Yeah, I think when I first started in the pool, I didn't really own a one piece, so I would wear a two piece, but then have like a compression shirt over top just to kind of keep it a little conservative.
Right. Yeah. I've seen people wear almost like exercise shorts and like the long sleeve rash guard type shirts. And that works really well for men or for women. That works really well. Some people have like some sort of a branded color, like they're always in a black bathing suit or something like that. We've had to, I mean, over the years, when I was lifeguarding, we had different colored suits that we had to wear. So sometimes you don't have a choice, but if you do have a choice, it's nice to be able to create your own brand. You could either have a shirt printed, or you could just have a certain color combination that you always wear. Something like that that's recognizable goes a long way.
Yeah, I do wear, so the TYR brand, those are all of my bathing suits. And so I always pick the black. It's black with like blue. I always have blue on me, so just it has a bit of blue on the straps.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but they're different. They're all different. I actually still have the first bathing suit that I bought as a business, and it's still going strong. It's my favorite one still.
That's great.
The chlorine hasn't eaten it away yet. Oh, that's another thing. I use like a specific bathing suit cleaner.
Okay.
That helps, keep the longevity of the bathing suits. Yeah.
Good times when you forget your bathing suit soaking in a sink and then you realize, all right, I gotta go. Oh no, my bathing suit is wet. That's ever happened before.
I think I have like 8 now, so I can get through most of the week. That reminds me, I will throw them in the washing machine now and just put it on like a quick cycle with this cleaner in there. So got to do that tonight.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's multiple suits and multiple towels during the day. Sometimes it really makes a difference to crawl into a dry suit rather than trying to get yourself into a wetsuit.
Yeah, with COVID, I always wear my suit to the pool, but when I leave now, like the change room is open, but I live 5 minutes away, so I put a pair of leggings on and then a pair of sweatpants on over top, and then we'll just leave with my wet bathing suit, come home, take off and shower at home.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah. That's right. Well, thank you for this. Does anyone else have any other questions? No? That was great. This is a topic that we've never talked about in our 1.5 years of doing this. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. So I'm going to say to the group, if you have anyone else that you'd like to hear from, that you see on social media, that you see in our group, that you're curious about, let me know, or reach out to them yourself and say, hey, have you ever thought about chatting about what you do? That would be really great. And if there's anyone that you would like to hear from, like Emma had said, I would love to hear from someone who does aquatic therapy. And I said, well, I just know the person that we're going to talk to. But if anyone else has any topics that they'd like to hear about, just let me know. You can either shoot me a note in the group, or you can ask in the group, and we can crowdsource someone that would be willing to come and just have a casual chat. That would be great. And if there's anyone interested in checking out a movement lab, let me know, because Elise and I will be practicing, and we'll come up with a date, and we'll just test this idea of just a casual like this assessment day, and we'll just try out the idea and see how everyone likes it. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest. Katie says, practitioners that specialize in neuro rehab. Yes, we will definitely do a call out for people in the group and invite them. So I'll post that tomorrow when I post the recording in the group, and we'll see who comes up. Elise and I know people who work in the physio neuro rehab world. So we could always pull together possibly a physio and a kin that could chat about it. We might be able to look into that. And yeah, if there's anyone else who has any other requests, let me know anytime. Bless you. Otherwise, have a great evening, and hope to see you next week. Bye for now.
Thanks.
You're welcome.